Okay, Grandma. How did you meet your spouse?
A lady introduced us to each other at IBM. That's how I met him.
Okay. What was your greatest life challenge?
My greatest life challenge?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wore a brace on my leg when I was a little girl, and I went through a lot of surgeries and stuff from the time I was 7 till I was 14 years old. And the doctors told me I'd never walk without a brace again. And I thought, I can't go through life like that. So I started praying.
Mm-hmm.
And I prayed and prayed that God would heal me to where I didn't have to wear them anymore. And at 14, they took them off, and I'm fine. So, that was probably the biggest challenge I had.
Your whole life? Yeah.
Yep, that was the biggest one.
Okay. What is your favorite quality of each of your kids and grandkids? So you can start with the oldest.
Georgia.
Georgia.
No, say that again. The
Your
greatest
favorite quality.
favorite quality. Well, George was always very loving, and he knew how to do everything. He was very smart that way. He picked up playing guitar. He learned that all by himself, and he's always been a person that could take care of himself and do it well.
Okay.
I don't know what you call it. I know there's probably
Independent?
a name for it. Oh, he was very independent. Right from the very beginning. He was a baby even. Yeah, when we had Donnie, I thought, oh, now he's got a brother to play with. Did he want to play with his brother? No. He saw the little girls two houses up from us, and they're playing in the backyard, and they were a little bit older than him. And he disappeared one day, and I couldn't find him. Well, there he was up in their yard playing with them. So that's Georgia.
Who's next?
Donnie.
Donnie.
Donnie, Don. Donnie, Naughty. Donnie, he's a southpaw like me, which is a left-hander.
Left-hander?
Uh-huh. And one time under the kitchen table, I don't know why we looked under the kitchen table, but he had written his name instead of D-O-N, he wrote N-O-D.
Nod.
And so, because he would write things backwards. And so we teased him about that for so long, but he was the clown of the family. He had you laughing all the time. He always pulled funny little tricks and stuff. One time he had a broom, and he had a pair of, I think, sweatpants on, and then he had a pair of shorts over the sweatpants, and he had the broom, and he was pretending like he was a rock player. And just a lot of silly things that he did. He always had us laughing. He was a good kid. That was Donnie.
And then, would it be Mike next?
Mike. No, Cindy.
Cindy.
No, Cindy was a pretty good girl. You never had to spank Cindy. At least I never spanked her. I'd say, Cindy Ann, and boy, I tell you what, she listened and she behaved. We never had to spank her. She was a good girl. I didn't have a sister. She didn't have a sister, so we just had a special relationship, like sisterly, like. But yet I was her mother, and she knew that I was her mother, and I was the boss. But yeah, she was a pretty good kid.
Your little girl.
My little girl, yep. Yeah, she had long hair, and I cut it one time because she cried all the time when you brushed her long hair. And so her hair just curled just like all by itself, like your dad's
Like
hair is
up.
doing.
Yeah.
But it was under. you know, like,
Oh, okay.
and it looks so cute and everything. And then it grew out again. And so, but, and that was one thing about, see, being an only girl, my mother would never let me wash my own hair. She wouldn't let me curl my hair because she always told me that I wouldn't do it right. And she just didn't ever think I could do things and do it right. And so from the time Cindy was in 6th grade, it's like she's going to learn to do her own hair and she's going to wash her own hair because I don't want her to grow up like me
Independent.
and not know how to do things that everybody should know how to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think most of the kids were pretty independent.
Yeah.
And so that was Cindy's thing.
So, Mike.
And Mike, what can I say about Mike?
Troublemaker.
You know, yeah, Mike. I know Mike was really mad when I brought home a baby from the hospital. He wouldn't come in till 6 o'clock that night. He didn't want to see the baby. Because he was a baby for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, none of my children were planned. And so, anyhow, but I mean, I think he and Jerry turned out to be pretty close.
Oh yeah.
And I'm real happy about that. But Mike, he was real good. Well, he was a lot like my mother in a way. When you play games with him, he'd get mad if he didn't win. And my mother was that way.
Like competitive?
Very competitive. Oh, yeah, Mike was very competitive. He was a basketball coach to little kids, and he was good with the kids. And he'd have the neighborhood kids out, and they'd be playing baseball out in the street, on Main Street there, in Lyons, and he was just real good at, with kids.
Oh yeah, he's always been.
And I know he was awful good to his children. I mean, he was a good daddy. He, of course, he more or less raised them by himself. And he played with them a lot. I mean, they ride bikes together on the biking trail, and they did a lot of stuff together. And I was real proud of him. He took over the mother-father taking care of his family.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm proud of my boys because all my boys are good fathers, and they got married and they all knew how to cook and clean and do laundry.
Yep.
And they all did it, and I was just real proud of them. Yeah. Yeah, so anyhow, your daddy, he was the baby.
Jerry Bear.
And I never considered him one of the boys. The doctor told me, because, I went in and talked to the doctor one time when I was having some problems myself. And I said, why don't I consider him like one of the boys? And he said, because he's your baby. And you know that you're not going to have any more babies. So you consider him in your mind a baby, and never had to spank him. You ask him to do something, he didn't say, oh, after a while. He'd get right up and do it. I was, just never had to beg him or ask him to do anything. He just was so good about it. He was just a really good little boy. And I hated to cut his hair. His hair was so cute, it just flipped up in the back.
That's where I get my thick hair from, is my dad.
Yeah, he had nice hair. You got nice hair, too. You do.
Very thick, too.
Yeah. Well, honey, look at me, how thin I'm getting up here. I have to do my hair a certain way, because I'm starting to get bald.
Oh,
Give me some of that hair, will you?
I got you.
So, but yeah, I'm proud of my boys. All four of them. They are good dads, and I feel like they're good husbands myself. I mean, they've been good providers, and they've got good kids. I'm proud of my grandkids. I love all my grandkids. I'm the happiest when my grandkids are around. You know, just I just love them. I feel so blessed that God blessed me with
So many.
so many. Yeah.
So what would you say about starting with your oldest grandkid?
Now, see, George's kids, they always lived far away from us. And so I didn't really have a lot of one-on-one with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed it when they did come here. Both of them, Sam and Gray, and we would go out east to visit them a lot. I mean, every time we go to Judy and Joe's, we always went at least once a year, if not twice a year. We'd always stop by their house. And there was a few times that we even went from Canyon City over to George's and then back home again. And so, but I'm proud that Gray did finish school. I feel real good that he did finish school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that Sam does too. I really do. And I think he will. I mean, he's got two parents that were teachers, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so I can't see that he won't. That he's got two parents that'll, you know, encourage him to finish school. But yeah, and whenever I see him, I just love it when I see him. And they're such huggers. I mean, they got such strong hugs. I mean, especially Gray. My goodness, he just about breaks my bones. No, he doesn't either. I just love the way he just hugs me, and it just makes me feel so good. Makes me feel important.
You are important. Very important.
So, it's Gray and Sam. And then Nikki and Marissa. Let's see. Which one? Nikki, when she was my first grandchild. And I was so excited. And then when I found out she was going to be a girl, I was really excited after having 4 boys and only 1 girl. And I was working at IBM second shift when Donnie called me and said that well, you got a granddaughter. She's born. So I went to my boss and asked him if I could have a long our lunch hours were only 30 minutes. I asked him if I could have an hour one to run over to Boulder Hospital to see Nikki, and I was just so proud of her, and I'm proud of her today. I mean, look at what she's done. She went back to school and got a good job. She married a really nice guy, and she's got two little boys, and she's expecting her 3rd one pretty soon. And I just love it when they come over, and the girls are so good about bringing the kids over, you know, so that they will know us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them as much as I'd like to, but I know they're busy, and I was busy once myself, but my mom was always at my house, so you know, I didn't have to worry about anything because Mom and Dad, well, Mother babysat my kids when I worked, and so she was the babysitter. In fact, George's mom is the one that taught him to cook. And then when his grandma Mary died, he got all her cookbooks. So he enjoyed that. And then
Marissa.
And then little Marissa. When Marissa was born, I went over one day and spent the day, and me and Nikki played out in the backyard so Mom could have a little rest with just the baby. And but Marissa, she was so cute, and she had colic, and we would babysit for them every now and then, not very often. And when she'd get to crying, Grandpa would just take her and put her up against his tummy with her tummy,
Mm-hmm.
and get it all warm, and he'd jump around, bounce around with her, and she'd be out like a light, and she'd be okay. But he just had that magic with the grandkids. he always played with the grandkids. They'd come to the house, Nikki and Marissa. They'd run out in the house and is Jeannie here? Is Jeannie here? Jeannie, Jeannie. And I go, Grandma, Grandma, don't forget me. Because Jeannie would go out on the trampoline and play with them. So, and Jeannie was just, I don't even think she was a teenager. I think she was probably 10 when Nikki was born. I think they're about 10 years apart.
Yeah.
And and they come almost every Sunday because my mom would come to from the nursing home to the house on Sundays and spend the day with us. And so Donnie'd bring the girls and come over, and Mike would bring his kids and come over. Well, of course, I think that was just one, just Nikki or Tiffany. You know what? Tiffany, I don't know if Tiffany was born yet or not, because Mom was in the nursing home up in Berthoud when Tiffany was, she was born in June, and it was in October, so July, August, September, October, she was only 4 months old. So I guess, but Mike used to come over, and of course Jerry was always there on weekends. And so we got to see them a lot. And Marissa, and Nikki, they go, we remember you babysitting us, Grandma, a lot. And I said, oh, yes, any chance I got. Because I also took care of Nikki and Marissa when we lived in Lyons up at Rockin' River at the resort. We worked up there, and after school I'd go down to the house and pick them up and then bring them up to the resort. And then Donnie, when he'd get off work, he'd come over and get them. So yeah, I was with them a lot too. And so who am I talking about?
Oh, you were finishing Marissa.
And then, and she married a pretty good guy too. I think they're expecting their first baby in September. And so we'll be anxious to see what she's going to have. And see what kind of mama and daddy they're going to be. I'm sure they're going to be perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I think they will. And then, who's next? Tiffany's next?
Or Stephen?
No, Tiffany is.
Tiffany.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Tiffany was with us a lot. I mean, when Kim worked in Longmont, we'd leave the front door open, and she'd come in and put her in the playpen and go on to work, because it'd be like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh.
She was working for UPS at the time. I can't remember the time. I know it was really early in the morning, so we just left the door, and then she just locked it when she left, and because we had the playpen out in the living room, which was right around the corner from our bedroom. And so, I mean, Tiffany was with us a lot, and so I babysat with her a lot. And I guess that's why, you know, we're close, is because, you know, she's always been with me a lot. And I remember her trying to get her to sleep one night when we had her for a couple of days, and she didn't want to go to sleep in the living room. And of course, Grandpa was out there watching TV, so I put her in bed with me, and she'd sleep in the bedroom with me. And man, she'd kick me, and she'd be sideways in the bed, and I'd turn her back around. Next thing I know, she's sideways again and kicking me. But yeah. So that was Tippy. And then Stephen, probably I wasn't with Stephen as much as Tiffany, because that's after they moved to Loveland. And now we did come up and live with them a couple of months in Loveland, and then we moved to, I don't know where we went from there, but anyhow, so yeah, he's a Mike Jr. is what he was. And
Troublemaker too?
Well, I don't know if he's a troublemaker. Might be, he's a boy. But yeah, Stephen, he was always a real cute little boy though. And he minded pretty good. He was good to take care of. I didn't have no problems with him. And then, who's next? Oh, we forgot Kenny.
Kenny.
That was before Tiffany.
Oh, well, it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't matter
Well,
what order.
Kenny was a year old when he moved. And they moved up to Wyoming for 6 months or a year, and then they moved to Montana. But when they were in Wyoming, we went up several times and saw them. And then we moved to Montana. I get to see them twice a year because I'd go up there, and then they'd come down, Cindy and Kenny. They'd drive down by themselves, and he just spent a lot of time with Kenny. You know, so he knew it. Even though we were far apart, we had quality time together where he always remembered who we were. I remember Cindy texted me one time, or called me one time, and she says, "Grandma, we got a problem here." And I go, "What?" She says, "I took him shopping today." And she says, he wanted something, and I told him no, he couldn't have it. And he says, "Well, my grandma would buy that for me." And I just got such a kick out of that. I remember the first winter they moved to Montana. He didn't have a snowsuit and boots. So I bought him a snowsuit and boots, and so he could go out and be in the snow. And I just, and then, he never got to go to like Chuck E. Cheese and stuff like all the kids down here did, because they don't have a lot of that stuff up in Montana like we have down here. And so I remember one year we took him to Chuck E. Cheese. And oh my gosh, he thought he died and went to heaven. He just enjoyed it so much. One time when she was down here with him, he was probably about maybe 4 years old. And he was such a little cowboy. And Grandpa was playing guitar in the kitchen at the table. And Kenny was standing there beside him. And he was his foot to the beat of the music, and tapping his hand on the table, and then making up his own song about being a cowboy and and all that. And so I had the movie camera, and I was trying to get a picture, a movie of him doing all that without him knowing it. Well, he'd see me and he'd go, "Don't look at me, don't look at me, Grandma." He didn't want me to take his picture. And I said, "I'm not, I'm looking at Grandpa." And so he'd do that again for a while, and then he'd turn to see me again. He'd go, "Grandma, I said, don't look at me, Grandma, don't look at me, Grandma." But anyhow, I did get it. So I guess we made a copy of it and sent it to Cindy so they could have it. And every year for his birthday, she told me that they would get that tape out and play it for him, and he'd just have a fit because they did that to him. I doubt if they do it anymore, but that's what they would do to him when he was growing up. So, yeah, that's my Kenny boy. I've always called him my Kenny boy. He's such a sweetheart. And then who's next?
Junie, is it Junie?
Well, let's see, Ronnie.
Oh, Ronnie.
Ronnie is younger than your dad, so we'll do them last. And so there's your daddy's kids. And of course, did we live in Canyon City when you guys were all born?
Yeah.
All of you?
I remember because we'd come to your pool.
Yeah. I remember, I have a picture of you and Grandpa in the pool.
I have it too.
But, yeah, and then Jerry had 5 kids. And his Peyton was his first one. And what do I remember about Peyton? She giggled a lot. I remember her. She laughed a lot. She seemed like a real happy baby. And I can't think of anything really that stands out except it seemed like she was never shy. She was never afraid of us, after not seeing us a lot. None of the kids of your dad's kids were afraid of us or anything. A lot of kids are when they don't see somebody. And but anyhow, and then they had Paige. And the thing that I remember about Paige is the hats she'd always had.
Oh, Grandma.
She always had all those cute. She always had a cute hat on her head, and that's unusual for a kid to wear hats. I mean, they pull them off when they put them on you, but you never did. And but I mean, you guys, you were so cute together, the two of you, and I just was so tickled that I got to have more granddaughters than grandsons, because then I only had 2 grandsons. And you've grown up into a very lovely lady. You have. Make me proud, honey. And I think that you're doing real good physically too. I think that you need to just listen to your body and just say, I'm going to get better, and just make up your mind. I mean, to be determined. And that's how I was when I had the stroke. I was determined I wasn't going to be like my mom in a wheelchair in the hospital. And that's what you got to do.
Well, thanks for always believing in me.
Oh, I do. I know that it'll work. And then I guess there's Pierce.
Pierce is nice.
Yeah, and gosh, with you guys being so far away, I guess Pierce and the twins were the hardest for me to really remember, because you 2 sisters were always crawling on us and everything, and but I don't know, maybe the twins were probably the most that were a little bit standoffish, but I don't think you 3 older kids weren't at all with us. And
twins are shy.
Yeah, they're very shy. But Pierce, I don't think he was ever shy.
Oh no, he's a joker.
And he still isn't.
Oh no.
And would you say that Pierce is Pierce, would you say he's the clown of your family?
I'd say I am, but me and Pierce are a lot alike.
Yeah.
Pierce is pretty funny. He likes to pick at people a lot.
Yeah. I know as he's grown up, he came up and would spend at least a week with us every summer during summer break. And of course, I think a lot of it was because he and Eli were close in age, and they just had a lot of fun together. But yeah, I'm proud of him, because he's been a go-getter, and and a determination. See, he's got that determination too. And you just got through saying you guys are a lot alike.
Pierce has come a long way.
He has.
Very long way.
Yeah, I'm really proud of him. I'm proud of all my grandkids. But yeah, he's determined, and he's going to get it done. I know he is. And then there's the twins. And where were we living when? How old are they?
They are 15.
So, guess we were still living down there then too when they were born, because we've been up here 12, 13 years. Because I remember you guys came down, and it was Pierce's birthday, and everybody went to the Royal Gorge.
Oh yeah.
Now the twins were in a stroller, so I stayed with them while Grandpa and the rest of you all went on the rides and stuff around there. And but they seemed real good. They, to be left with a stranger. But no, they seemed to be real good, and I just talked to them, and yeah, they just had fun. We had a birthday cake for Pierce because it was his birthday.
Yeah.
And so we had dinner and had a birthday cake for him, and I think we had a real good time. But I think that's the only time you guys came down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And George and he came down one time also, and Donnie's he came by once, and that's before we. It was right after we bought the house, before I think we even moved into it, and it needed a lot of work done on it. So he never saw it after we got all the work done on it.
Mhm.
And Mike, he didn't come down much either, only to bring the kids down and or pick them up and switch kids because I wouldn't have them together because they fought so bad. So it had to be one or the other. And then what was I with the twins? I guess. Oh, they're 15 today. So, and look at how far they've come. They've come. I mean, now.
They're being preemies too.
Yes, yes. And they're so affectionate too. And you know, they were very standoffish for a long time, but now
They're all loving.
they're very loving now. And I just, of course, I've come from a very loving family. We were all touchy feely hugs, you know, and everything. And
I'm only touchy feely with my grandparents.
and so but they have come a long way, and here they are being homeschooled, and then she's got her baseball career. Softball. To me, it's the same thing,
Yeah.
but I know for somebody that's doing it, it isn't.
Whatever, you know.
Yeah, and then Preston, I just wish that he played, what is it called, lacrosse. I wish they played, because I guess some of the schools up here play it. And I wish that they could come up here and play too, because I'd love
might one day.
I hope so, because I'd like to be able to
See
support him too.
Yeah.
Because when you kids, especially you and your sister, we would come down on
try
Saturdays
soccer,
a lot to the
softball,
soccer and softball games.
Volleyball.
Yeah, we wanted to be able to come and see you guys and do well. Kenny up in Montana, we get up there at least once a year and watch him play football, just so you know we could get up there and support him sometime. It was always important for us to be able to be there for our grandkids and support them in whatever sports and
supporting me.
Yeah, you know, you guys were doing or anything. And then, let's see.
Maybe Eli?
Oh, we haven't had Jeannie yet.
Oh, yeah.
What can I say about Jeannie? She was the aunt that everybody loved. All the grandkids.
Oh, yeah, you guys got her picture all big out there.
Oh, well, that's because the guy gave us a good deal on it. That's why. And he's the one that was his, in his shop, because he had it to show as example, you know, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And so he told him when he was done using it that he would sell it to us at a discount. I think it cost $20 or something.
Oh,
and you know,
bad.
that's expensive to buy those things. I don't remember what the cost was. It's been too many years. But yeah, she's had a pretty rough go at her life, but she's come through it pretty good, and she's doing good, and she's got a nice boyfriend, and we like him, and so does Eli, and that's important. And Eli, he's doing good, and he loves his music. He's just so in love with his music.
He's very talented too.
He loves the Lord, and what more can you ask for if your grandkids love the Lord? I mean, to me that's everything.
All you need.
That's the whole thing of life, is loving the Lord. And I just hope that someday that everybody will feel that way.
Yeah.
And So yeah, she's doing pretty good. I'm pretty proud that she's come as far as she has and has weathered through pretty good all the stuff she's been through. And then Ronnie, and Ronnie was always the clown in that family.
Everybody always has a clown.
Everybody has a clown. Ronnie was one of them. And he was the middle child. And he was a pretty good kid. He and Jerry were pretty good friends. And of course, they're only a year apart in age. And Ronnie's got a wonderful wife. You know, she just is right there with him and does with him.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a team, a real team. And Ronnie has done real good for himself. He was in the Navy, and now he's got a real good job. And they moved to Wyoming. Their oldest daughter, Asia, she's through college, and she's got the job that she's always wanted, so she's happy. And we don't get to see her maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, but once a year usually. But we didn't see her at all in 2018 because we didn't get to see her anytime because we can't go up there. We haven't been able to get up there. We can get up there, but eventually we will.
Mm-hmm.
And she lives in Denver.
Oh, wow.
And works at one of the libraries there. And then Ella, my gosh, Ella, she has grown so much. She looks like she's about 16 years old.
How old is she?
12?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Lucky.
I'll have to show you her picture. She's just like, she's a beautiful little girl, young lady. And she's grown a lot too. We don't get to see them as much now that they moved up to Wyoming. When they were in Longmont, we got to see them a lot more. And then Barrett's a loving little one. He comes and gives me hugs, and he just seems to be a real loving little boy. And then, let's see, Jeannie, Ronnie, and then there's Danny. And we've gotten to be a little closer with Danny this last year. I don't know if it's been quite a year. I don't think it's been quite a year that we kind of got back and seeing him again and seeing his kids. And his oldest boy has got a little boy.
Oh, wow.
And his name, well, Gage is Danny's son, and he's, I don't know how old he is. He's older than Nikki? No, he's younger than Nikki. Oh, he's the same age as, I don't know how old he is. Oh, he's close to Stephen's age. I get confused about the parents, and I'm getting.
That's a lot of people, Grandma.
I know. And but yeah, he's got a little boy, and his little boy's name is Daniel, and he's a cute little boy. And I haven't only got to see him maybe a half a dozen times, so I haven't got to see him much.
Mm-hmm.
And then Danny has another boy, Seth, and don't see much of him. I think we saw him. Danny took us all out for lunch a couple weeks ago, and he was there. And so it's the first time I've seen him in a while. And so that's all the kids.
Okay. Let's look at the next one. What is something you want all your loved ones to remember after you pass?
I want my grandkids, my kids to, I hope that they realize how much that I love them. I love them with all my heart, and I love each one of them. They mean the world to me. And my grandkids, I feel like my grandkids are a blessing from God. that they are all blessings to me, and I just love them all so much, and I love them all equally.
We love
and
you.
and I'm so thankful for you guys. I really am.
You're my whole heart.
And then to have great grandbabies, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming to me.
Blessings.
They are really blessing. That's how God blesses his parents with kids
Mm-hmm.
and great grandkids and grandkids. But yeah, I feel like I'm blessed. I have a husband that cares about me, that looks out for me and takes care of me, because so many husbands, when their wives have a stroke, they put them in a nursing home and forget about them. And he told them, no nursing home. We will take her home and bring in home health care to help mend her back. And I'm so thankful for that. And
Great husband.
I passed out once on him, and now if he thinks I'm sick in any way, he will not even leave me for anything. He's like, to go to church, he'll stay home with me. He won't go. So,
He's a big blessing.
yes, he is. Yeah, I think God sent him to me. So,
It's real love right there.
yep. In sickness or in health.
Yeah. I'll always remember that.
Yes.
What is one of your favorite memories of your life?
Of my life, actually, my favorite memories is my teenage years. I had so much fun as a teenager. We didn't, in those days, I don't remember there being drugs and alcohol, and I guess the worst thing was smoking cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I had to be like all the rest of the teenagers. I gotta try it anyhow. And it was so horrible. I thought, oh, give me something to eat and get that out of my mouth. And it's like, how can people stand that? And so, but yeah, my teenage years, I got that brace off when I was 14. I never really had boyfriends because I was having fun having girlfriends that we did things together. We, I guess my closest friend was Loopy. We've been friends with her 5 years old, and she lived across the street from us. And so she was like an only child because her brother was 10 years older than her, and he was already gone in the military when she was a teenager. But they had me with them all the time. They'd take us to drive-in movies and just always did things together. We'd go fishing and just having fun. And then I had so many friends, so many girlfriends, and now I don't have hardly any because I don't get out and do anything anymore.
Well, in life, it's complicated.
I don't drive. I haven't driven. I can drive, but I'm not happy with the traffic up this way.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm more familiar in Longmont. I live in Loveland, and but Longmont's getting to have a bad name. So, it's just, what do you do? Just sit at home with my husband all the time, because he's a homebody. He doesn't like to go anywhere and do anything, unless it's his music.
Yeah.
And if you say music, he'll go. But yeah. But that was probably my best memories, is my teenage years. And my cousin lived in the same town I did, and so I had family. I mean, a girl cousin.
Yeah.
And to hang out with, and so that was probably my best times, was then.
I got 2 more questions. Who do you think is your biggest influencer in your life? It could be anyone.
My good friend Jean, and she's got Alzheimer's today.
Mm-hmm.
They belonged to the campground with us, and we used to go camping every weekend. And of course, they were there every weekend because her husband would bring in new members and have, do whatever they do to get new members. And so she always was reading her Bible. And I'd go over and I'd sit and visit with her, and we'd talk about the Lord. And she was my mentor. And then I don't know. I just looked at her and was like, I want to be like her. I want to be the kind of person she is. I want to love the Lord like she loves the Lord. I want to be faithful to the Lord like she is to the Lord. And even when I went to visit her, even after she got her Alzheimer's, I mean, she remembered us. I mean, she remembered things from the campground. It's today she don't remember, that she won't remember us being there.
Yeah.
And she says, look, Janie, she says, I still have my Bible here, and I still read it every day, don't I, Bob? To her husband, he says, yes, Jean. So, and that's how I want people to remember me, that I love the Lord, I love my kids, I love my husband. I'm thankful for what I have and who I have in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want people to remember me by.
And the last question is, what is your life advice to everyone? Your biggest piece of advice to get through life?
Okay, now, loving the Lord, knowing the Lord, to me, that is the most important thing. That's why we were born,
mm-hmm.
to commune with Him, so He wouldn't be alone. He wanted us to be His partner, to always, if we need Him, and we need Him every day. It's not if we need Him, we need Him every day, and especially the kind of world we're living in today. And it's not going to get better; it's going to get worse because the Bible says so. Because we're getting ready for the end days,
Mm-hmm.
And God, my memory's getting bad. I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying?
Your biggest life advice to everyone.
And okay, that's my number one thing.
Loving the Lord.
Is loving the Lord and being faithful to Him, because He is always faithful to you. He is always there for you if you need Him. He's the only person that can be there for you when you need Him. And if you want something and you've been praying for it, well, you get mad because you don't have it now. Well, everything is in His timing, not your timing. When He says yes, you'll get it.
Because He has a plan for us.
He has a plan for us, definitely. When we're born, He knows our life when we're born.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing is, if you get married, is always be faithful to each other. To love one another unconditionally. That you want to make your husband to where he wants to come home from work at night. You want the house clean, the food cooking, the kids looked after. You want him to come home from work after work, and you know what kind of day he might have had at work.
Yeah.
To come home to a clean house, a good wife, your dinner's being cooked, your kids are running to you, Daddy, Daddy. I remember Donnie telling me that was the one thing he loved, was those kids coming to him, and when he come home from work at night and he'd run up to him, Daddy, Daddy. He said that just always made me feel so good. And it's true that and your wife is the person that sets how your day is going to be for your family. And man, when I heard that, I thought, what? But it's so true. If I wake up in a grumpy mood, the rest of the day just kind of goes downhill, because you snap at your husband, you snap at the kids, yell at the dog. You know, it's just. But if you wake up in a really good mood and get up and everything, like the sunshine, of course that's me. The sunshine and I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
And everything in your family, your kids will pick up on it, and that's the kind of mood they'll have. Your husband will pick up on it, and that'll make him in a better mood too. And also another thing that I've told my married kids, married grandkids, is especially Tiffany, because she's the one that's talked to me a lot more about stuff and how important it is to oh my God, my memories, just all of a sudden my memory's going blank.
It's okay. Life advice to everyone.
Yeah, I know what I was going to say about your husband. Communicate. Communication is the most important thing. And there's a lot of men that don't like to talk, but it's so important to, if you don't like something, you need to say, let's sit down and talk. Don't get...
How can we fix this?
You know, and yeah, don't try to, we're going to do it this way or something. Let's sit down and talk this out.
And find
Just like you
a
said.
mutual agreement.
Yeah, just like you said. And that's what we got to do. We got to, because I know that's what happened with Don and I. We just couldn't communicate. He wouldn't talk, and I was stubborn. I wasn't going to talk to myself. And this is what I tell my grandkids when they got married. I said, talk to each other. Don't get mad at each other and say, oh, I'm not talking to them. No, don't do that. You need to talk it out. If something's bothering you, you need to let them know that something's bothering you.
Don't turn a cold shoulder.
You know, when I married Bill, I wouldn't talk. And he's the one that kept bringing it out on me, making me talk. And it's like, you know, that was the best thing that I could have done, but I never did it before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's probably why we have a better relationship, because, I mean, we talk things. If I don't like it, I tell him, and if he don't like it, but we do it in a good way, not a nasty way with each other.
I agree.
But yeah, and I believe in being loving with each other, even in front of your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
got to teach them love.
Yeah, you got to see everything you do. Somebody's watching you.
It's reflecting on them.
And so you got to show good examples to people. And you don't realize, even if you're at work and you see something you want to take it so bad, somebody's watching you. Besides God, they're always watching you, but there's somebody watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And you won't get away with it. No matter what you do, you're not going to get away with it eventually. Mm-hmm. So, and to me, that's important. So honesty is very, very important.
Yes, I agree.
So,
is that it?
That's it.
I love you.
And I love you too, sweetheart. Oh. Little girl. My little hat girl.
Okay. Bye-bye. Say bye.
Oh, bye.